Hi, I'm Elizabeth Wong, and if you want to know more about my zip code play and about Antaeus Theatre, watch this video. I fell in love with the theater very late in life. I am a late bloomer, so the first play that I saw was over at the Huntington Hartford. They were doing Equus, so Peter Shaffer's play Equus, and I got a ticket with a friend who was way more theater savvy. So her parents drove us to the Huntington Hartford, and so we got tickets, $5, and we were ushered onto the stage, and it was fantastic because we were on the stage. So it felt like, and we were sitting in what looked like a jury box, and I just remembered being just mesmerized by the horses in that play. And of course, the great, wonderful British actor who played Dessart, the psychiatrist, Brian Bedford. He's no longer with us. Brian Bedford, rest in peace. Brian Bedford, as he was almost pleading the case of this young boy who had blinded the horses to us in the jury box, he winked at me, and I was just, melting. I thought it was fantastic. And also in that play, it was the first time I'd ever seen nudity, like nudity on stage, and it was so close to me. So, I was hooked for life. And so after that, I started being a regular theater goer. So it was as an audience member that I began to fall in love with the theater, sitting in the dark. It was magical. Brian Bedford winking, and also just nudity on stage and sitting on the stage. I forgot I was sitting on the stage. That's how amazing that experience was. I fell in love with writing by seeing plays. The more plays I saw, the more I really responded to this style of writing. So after I saw Equus and was just hooked from the moment I saw that play, then I saw For Colored Girls Who Consider Suicide When the Rainbow Wasn't Enough. I saw Children of a Lesser God. All of these were at the Monterey Forum. And from then on, it was just a series of fantastic plays, one more bizarre and one more uplifting and one more transcendent after another. The next play I think I saw was Angel City by Sam Shepard, and it was crazy. People at intermission were like leaving the audience when that's the play in which about Hollywood, and the characters get slimed with green slime. And the audience, I guess, at intermission wasn't really having it. So they left, and I just was sitting I just couldn't even get up for intermission. I was just sitting like thinking, what was all of that about? Because I was not yet exposed that much to Hollywood, and I didn't really know what Sam Shepard was trying to say about Hollywood. But I was just, so I became obsessed by watching the most amazing plays back to back. And that's probably where it all started. Yeah. And then, I would say my obsession began by just watching great works of art, great plays that really spoke to me or really boggled my mind. And then I would say I started really writing as well. I was always a journalist, so I began my career as a journalist, and I was at the Hartford Courant covering aviation and transportation. And then on April 1st, I decided to quit my job with no warning to anyone, and everyone thought it was an April Fool's joke, but I guess the joke was on me, because basically what I did was I gave myself the gift of a year to just write whatever I wanted to write, to try to find myself as a writer. I always felt a little, I wouldn't say unhappy, but unsettled. Like I thought I should be doing something, other kinds of writing, but I didn't know what. And then, so giving myself that gift of a year to just focus on writing whatever, that was a crazy thing to do. It was a moment of like lunar madness. Maybe it was on a full moon that April 1st, but that's the reason why I stopped being a journalist and I started my journey as a playwright. And then one day I met August Wilson, and he was at New Haven, a stationery store, and I met him in the aisle. And a friend of mine introduced me to him and said, "Oh, August, this is Elizabeth Wong. She wants to be a playwright." And I was like, what? I was mortified. I thought, oh no, don't tell most amazing playwright in the world that I want to be doing what he does. I haven't even done it yet. I haven't written a single word. But August Wilson just looked at me and he was very sweet about it. And he said, "No, you are a playwright. You're a playwright. You should be writing plays." And I just thought, well, I better not make August Wilson a liar. So that evening, I wrote my first play, which was my family dysfunction play, and it's called The Aftermath of a Chinese Banquet. It's never seen the light of day, but it did get me into graduate school. So I went to NYU, New York University Tisch School of the Arts. And I thought that was a good place for me because I could build a body of work and still explain myself and my crazy decision to my family, because they thought I was throwing away a 4-year college education and a 10-year career as a journalist. So of course they thought I was nuts. But I guess August Wilson really was the spark that got me to buckle down and to write my first play. And that first play got me into grad school. And from grad school, just before I graduated, I had a play off Broadway produced by Pan Asian Repertory Theater, Letters to a Student Revolutionary, which was my response to what was happening in China and the Tiananmen Square massacre. It's a comedy until the end when the tanks roll in. But yeah, so my obsession started as an audience member, grew because I met August Wilson, was nurtured at New York University, and I hadn't looked back since, just kept one foot in front of the other, just writing plays. So that's how my obsession began. The playwriting format, writing plays, I like writing for it because I'm good at it. I love the way people speak. I love listening to dialogue. I love eavesdropping. So I like hearing other people's stories. And I think writing plays, it at the end, when all these wonderful people descend on your work and to live and breathe it on stage, there's a beautiful interaction that happens between the audience and the actors, and actors vicariously from me to the actors to the audience. There's a relationship of a discussion of ideas and of dreams and of how we want the world to be, better, what worlds I can introduce you to that you may never have experienced before. The worlds that I'm talking about being my cultural heritage, where I come from, what my world is like, my very multicultural world. So, because I grew up in Chinatown, and also I live very close to East LA and in the 91754 zip code. So I love the theater for that it's kind of like my church. That's my place to commune with other people, with my cockeyed lunatic ideas. So that's why I love the theater. I also love the theater because it can be an agent for change. Like I'm currently working on a play called Code of Conduct, which is about Guantanamo. I'm often doing that to myself, like taking subjects that people want to sweep under the rug and kind of dragging it out from the shadows. And I feel like theater has a responsibility to kind of hold up the mirror and to examine American life, and to, also rediscover our humanity and what it means to be human. And so I think the theater is the best place to do that, for me anyway. Writing for me is not an exact science. I don't wake up and write from like 9 to noon, get back on it like until 5 p.m. No banker's hours for me. I don't write with an outline. I don't work up a plot like a screenwriter does, putting it on index cards, sticking up on a wall, or writing on a whiteboard like what's behind me. I used to think something was wrong with me as a writer because I always wanted to be that kind of writer. You're supposed to write every day on a regular schedule because that's how you get things done. But I realized that my creative process can't be regimented or put on a schedule. And in fact, I'm my own worst boss, I guess. I mean, I work all day, all the time. I'm available to my writing all day, all night, whenever. I mean, it's more like a lifestyle and it's not like a job. I'm available to it day and night and even in my sleep. In fact, I believe that I do my best work when I'm sleeping. I trust in the power of my intuition and the power of the subconscious mind. And as a teacher, I often try to convince my students of that. And I can prove it to them with some prompts that I give them to trust that there is power in sleep. So, yeah. I also harness the power of procrastination. Literally. I mean, procrastination is my friend. I mean, I get a germ of an idea, but I don't know what to write. So I procrastinate by calling my friends to, run the idea past them. Like, for instance, in the case of the zip code play, I called my friend Karen Huey, who's an actor and a playwright and many other things, but mostly she's my friend. And I told her about my germ of an idea to write about cutthroat bingo games, like at a senior center. So I had that notion of already that it was going to be about bingo, but it sat at the senior center, and that it was going to be vicious bingo. And so we talked about it, but again, I'm still not writing. I'm just filling my mind or my brain with information. So yeah, procrastination. I procrastinate a lot by, getting online and checking out my social media, reading my email, and then, maybe I'll casually search for general information about bingo. I find out that, bingo started in Italy as a lottery. And then I find out that it migrated to France and became kind of like the card game that we know today. But when it got to America, we were calling it Beano instead of bingo. And so things like that where I'm procrastinating and yet I'm still kind of casually working on the play without really seeming to work on the play. I just follow my interests, basically. And then, but I can tell you I still wasn't writing, even after I did all the research. But so then basically what I did was also think about characters. I know I have this vessel that's going to contain my ideas, which is the bingo game, like the structure of a bingo game. How can I use the structure of how bingo is played in the play? And also, I know it's set at a senior center. So now I'm thinking about characters. Who goes to the senior center? What seniors and what stories do these seniors carry with them with a lifetime of experience that would help make the story fun and juicy and more cutthroat? Because I know in my mind, I want it to be some serious bingo players. But still, I'm not writing. I'm still procrastinating. I'm sweeping the floor. I'm cooking dinner. I try to choose finite activities like dusting one room, and then I'll kind of leave my computer open to like be available to it if I think of an idea or a question to ask myself, to remind myself. So I create a file full of these like random thoughts and all the research that I'm doing and building a case for the play. But I still don't know what the plot is. I still don't know, where it's going. I'm just looking for, for interesting people to tackle a dilemma that I might put in front of them. What moral dilemma do they have to tackle? Who would be the best characters to explore different aspects of the choices that people could make while exploring that dilemma? And so, yeah, I trust in the power of procrastination. I trust that my weird innate desire to surprise myself. So that's how I start writing. Is I procrastinate and I look for ways to surprise myself. And invariably it always happens. So one minute I have nothing, and then all like within like a week I'll have a play, and I won't know how that happens, except I do know how that happened. Power of intuition, power of surprise, and harnessing the power of procrastination. Well, I'm thrilled to be working with Antaeus Theatre, and I'll tell you because I've been to the theater. I have really enjoyed the work that they were doing there. It's an actor-driven theater. So I never thought I would be able to work with Antaeus, ever. But then a friend of mine, Emily Chase, also Karen Huey, who is also in the play of mine for Zip Code Plays, and Jennifer Maisel, another fabulous playwright. They all supported an application. They all suggested that I apply to the Playwrights Lab at Antaeus. And I did it, but I didn't expect to be chosen because they're, a lot of my plays are done in the regionals, like Denver Center Theater, Cincinnati Playhouse. I mean, a lot of people don't know me as a playwright here, and that's just fine. But so I didn't expect, I thought they would be very much catering to local playwrights, which they do. But anyways, so Emily, Karen, and Jennifer were really supportive of my application, and I was selected. It's a juried playwriting lab, so you can only get into the lab if somebody supports your application. And I had three people I knew who did. And I'm so grateful because it's an amazing theater. And they produced Jennifer's play, 8 Nights, which recently won Ovation Awards. And Emily also, as a director, she won an Ovation Award for 8 Nights. And so that was the last play that I saw there before the pandemic hit. But yeah, so, I used to be a member of the Mark Taper Forum workshops that were sponsored by the Music Center way back when the world was young and I was younger. And I had a home there. But for the last 20 years, maybe, I didn't have a home. I was a homeless playwright. I was writing independently, getting my plays out there, but I didn't have a place to call home. And so being in the playwriting lab gives me a home, the home that I never had. And so that's why I'm so grateful. I did not realize how much I miss the interaction, the camaraderie, the smart brains that come to meet every Tuesday evening to hear plays that you're working on, so you can always get feedback on your plays. And one of the most amazing things that I discovered about Antaeus was that because it's an actor-driven theater, the most extraordinary actors come to the Playwrights Lab, and you have actors, professional actors, read your work. And that is just mind-blowing every time I go to the Tuesday night playwriting labs, because professional actors wrap themselves and their passion around your words, around your characters, and you can really hear what you've done thanks to them. So that's a real gift, to get to work with great actors. So it's a very beautiful relationship between the actors in the company and the actors and the playwrights in the playwriting lab. And that's why I love Antaeus. And of course, I also love them because the administration, the upper administration, they are such lovely, beautiful hearted people. So it's a great organization. I'm glad to be a part. I binge watched the Zip Code plays. I did not see it when it first aired, but I did after earlier this year. I did binge watch all of them, and they were fantastic. I mean, you get to learn a lot about your city through storytelling. Although a lot of things I didn't know. For instance, in the Pacific Palisades, that there was an enclave of Nazis who lived there. You know, I learned a lot about the native peoples who lived in this area. I learned so much from my colleagues who wrote those plays so beautifully and so honestly and candidly and courageously. It was just, so I was happy that I backtracked and circled back and binge watched them all. It was fabulous. The Zip Code plays are fun to listen to because you really get to focus on the words. And, you know, for a playwright, that's like warms the cockles of your little heart. You know, it's like, oh, I love that, because you're listening to words, and I love words, new words. That's one of the joys of the audio play. And also, it's asking the audience to fill it in, instead, so you doing, the audience, the listeners doing the work of creating the world that they see as inspired by the sounds that they're hearing, by the words that are being spoken. And I think that is just another way of reaching into the heart of an audience through their ears. The inspiration for my Zip Code play, 91754, Monterey Park Bingo Bitches. I had to write it because the title, Bingo Bitches, that was inspiring enough. But the seed for the story actually came from a random woman, a Latina. I was standing in front of her as we were waiting in line at a grand opening of a new business in Monterey Park. This business was giving away swag to the first 100 people in line. So I was in line waiting for the swag bag, and I love free stuff. So what can I say? I went and I met this lady as we were waiting in line, and we got to talking, and she told me that after she finishes up getting her swag, that she was going to go play bingo. And I thought, oh, okay, so you're going to play bingo. And she told me how cutthroat bingo at the senior center was. And then she told me that there were really big payouts at these bingo games. And that once she won like about $200 at a bingo game, one bingo game off of the seniors. So this seemingly innocuous encounter in a line germinated in my brain for a while, because I had that encounter for a while. And sometimes that's just how playwrights' minds works, a writer's mind works. You just kind of file it away under maybe something can happen with this. I don't know. And then, so while it was on the back burner, the Antaeus Theater had this opportunity, and I pitched the idea. It was just like a line, like Cutthroat Senior Center Bingo in Monterey Park. That was it. I didn't even know what that was going to be. I just had the one line. I wrote it like, I got the email that was a call for entries, for submissions. I wrote 3 ideas, like bada bing, bada boom, just really fast. And I sent it I didn't even reread it. And then I hope that it wasn't too many typos. But from the moment they said yes, is the moment I started thinking, okay, now I'm committed to writing this. What is it going to be? How can I make it fun and also explore the world of what it's like for senior citizens and bingo and what that means to them. And that's that's how the story began. It began with the lady in line who was, going to play bingo and describing how vicious it was, and then me filing that information away until I was able to secure a commission, and then, was, as an outgrowth of that commission, was forced and focused on writing the play. Antaeus assembled an awesome team of really uber talented artists for this play, my play. There was Jennifer Chang, who is an actress, director, artistic director of Chalk Repertory Theater, which is located in Atwater Village. She's a theater professor down in San Diego at UCSD. She won the LA Drama Critics Award for her directorial work on Viet Gong, which was a production at East West Players. And she was my director and kind of at the helm of this. And she was also very good with dramaturgy, and she read the play and was able to give me some fantastic notes for the play. I originally wrote the play with kind of a bittersweet ending, kind of a, the height of the pandemic. So I was feeling very, very annoyed. And I put that annoyance, I suppose, into the play. But then Jennifer actually reminded me, and also some of the, and Bill, Kitty, Anna Rose, the management at Antaeus gently suggested maybe a happier ending. And, after thinking about it and listening to the comments, I actually reworked the ending so that it's an uplifting ending. It's an ending of hope. It's an ending that actually serves my purpose and the play more beautifully than I originally imagined. So it was very definitely a beautiful collaboration of artistic minds that helped shape the ending of the play. I don't want to give it away, though. And Antaeus also really wanted to bring authenticity to the characters by casting, Chinese actors, by casting an Armenian actor. So there was Cece Lau, who is a longtime actor, and she's the former First Lady of Monterey Park. Her husband, David Lau, was a mayor of the city. So, and Cece was great at really helping me with the Chinese language in the play, and she was very supportive and also, really supportive about a happy ending or a uplifting ending. And she was so right. Sometimes playwrights, when we're in a mood, we write reflecting that mood, but actually it wasn't serving the play very well. So getting the feedback from fellow artists helped me see that, to look for a way to be funnier. So, bingo bitches, hello, comedy. And there was also Jade Haikush, who is a actor who I didn't know at first, but she's a veteran actor who was recommended by an Antaeus member, Rhonda Aldrich. Jade, she was fantastic with putting Armenian in the play. She, I told her I really wanted to put languages, and I love hearing the music of other languages in my play. So I put that music into my work, and she was great with some of the colorful Armenian phrases, if you know what I'm saying. Colorful. So I thank her for that. And then finally, last but not least, there was Karen Huey, who plays a character who is sort of based, a little bit like me, although I've never played bingo. But Karen Huey, she is like the voiceover queen. I mean, you can hear her work in all the Star Wars movies, Deadpool, Good Trouble, the TV show, which is one of my favorite shows. She's voiced over 1,500 like films and TV shows, and she's like the voice of the character Yuriko in that popular video game, Ghost of Tsushima. And Karen supported my application, like I told you, to the Antaeus Playwrights Lab, and she's also a playwright. And in fact, I've taught her plays. I taught Songs of Harmony at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley, which is where I teach. I'm teaching contemporary Asian American plays and also script analysis at BOCO. And I was able to bring one of her plays to the students and introduce them to her work as a playwright. But most of all, she's my friend. And this is the first time I've ever had a chance to work with her. So that's always a pleasure, to be able to work with your friends. Yeah, it's really great to be able to work with your friends after all these years of, promising and thinking about working together. And at last, thanks to Antaeus, we got a chance to do it. And that was really awesome. So that was the cast. That was the director. And also I should mention someone who I work closely with, Jeff Gardner, who's like won a bazillion awards. And he helped and developed the Foley and the soundscape, the world for Bingo Bitches. He was an absolute joy to work with. He honors the script. He honors the words. He knows how to enhance as well as, just let the characters speak. So he's one of those rare people who knows like sound when it helps and sound when silence is best. And it's just great to work with someone who's so collaborative. And he was a lot of fun for me to work with and bounce ideas off of, because this is my first audio play, my first one. So it was great to have some guidance from Jeff. Difference between a normal and regular play and an audio play obviously is that the audience cannot see that the actors are 80 years old. That if we were on stage, you would be able to see that my characters are all in their 80s. They could do that with costuming. They can do that with lighting. They do that with their acting sculptures in space with their bodies. You could see that in a play. But in an audio play, you don't see that they're really 80 years old. I have to tell you that they're 80 and hint at their life, to hint at their timetable in their lives. Do you see what I'm saying? So the actors have to do, I have to work with an actor, thinking of the actor, how do I let the audience know through the actor that they don't see. So my work is different. I have to actually try to find a way to take things that would have been obvious were you to see it on stage, and I would have to write it in a way, finesse it in a way that isn't expositional. So I don't want exposition. So I'm going to have to try to hide it, but still find it. A way to tell you that they are older, they have different life experience, that over many, 80 years, I have a character who's like over 100. So because they're older like this, they have to discuss life experiences. And that actually informed the play. It gave the play its connection, their historical connection that people who are older may have from the life that they lived, the history that they have seen. So that history that they have seen, that history that they have lived, the things that inform who they are play out in my play. So it's a comedy, but it is also how people connect through their histories, not only personal history, but also world history. So that's one of the ways that you have to think differently when you're writing a stage play versus an audio play. And also, as I said, sound is a big, I mean, you create the world, you don't see it on stage of a bingo parlor or a bingo hall at the senior center. You don't see the bingo cage. You don't see the cards or the little dauber that they use to mark their numbers as it's being called. You don't see that on stage, but you hear it in an audio play. And then you, the audience, can imagine what that place looks like. And your place that you imagine in your mind is going to be totally different than the place that I imagine in my mind, or even in a stage play, because they give you the world that they imagine, the set designer imagines. So you don't have the benefit of what the set designer imagined. You have your own imagination in an audio play. And I think that's the wonderment of an audio play. And I'm just thrilled to have been able to write one finally. So in a lot of ways, our plays also dovetail, because I don't know how that happens, but it's weird how that happens, that the synchronicity that we all kind of found a way to modernize and make vivid something that was happened in the past, that was in the past, a history from the maybe unknown history or forgotten history from the past. And both Wyatt and I do that in our plays. And the other plays do it too, to varying degrees. So it is kind of amazing that there is some kind of weird psychic, subconscious thread that we all kind of like dove into the cosmic idea pool and then kind of got out and then started writing our plays. And we all have little suggestions that interrelate to one another. And I was surprised actually that we all did something that was so, that the tendrils from the past kind of informed the present of the play. What I want the audience to get out of Bingo Bitches is just pure enjoyment. I just want to make your life a little lighter, to make you smile when you hear the play. You know, I'm not going to lie and say I didn't sneak some sneaky, serious things in the play, but for the most part, my purpose was to uplift and to offer enjoyment and pleasure, and to introduce audiences to a community that they may not know about. The city of Monterey Park is a very interesting city. It's a primarily Asian community, but it has been always in transition. People from all kinds of backgrounds, racial backgrounds have lived in this city, and they pass the city down to each other as they move on through life. And and you see vestiges of that heritage in the city. You know, Monterey Park used to be, the Gabrielino, Shoshone Gabrielino Indian territory, and then it, moved on to a Spanish, Latin, white, Asian. I mean, we all live here, or we all have heritage that, thanks to the Gabrielino, a tribe that used to live here, that we're by their graces living on this property. I'm living in this city, and I wouldn't have known that unless I started the zip code play journey. And in my research, as I was trying to figure out what to write, you learn things, and that's one of the benefits for me, as I learned about my own community. And I want to share what I learned and what I enjoyed and what insights I have from living here with the listeners to the Zip Code Plays. So I think that my first and foremost, though, is to offer entertainment and joy, and that's so important to me, especially with the pandemic, having taken a year and a half of our lives. And so this play was written last year and was very, you know, or started, the germination of it started last year. And I just wanted to offer up some laughter and some pleasure and some joy to listeners and audiences. And that's the reason why I didn't um, set the play during the pandemic. You know, oftentimes as a playwright of conscience, I would have probably in the beginning wanted to set the play during the pandemic, but I soon learned that I don't know. I was just sad, and I was just wanting to set the play at a time before the pandemic, when everybody could get together, and that's why the play starts before the pandemic, before COVID ever hit, that you get a chance to remember what it was like. And I'm so happy that, you know, now it looks like things are normalizing and we can start seeing one another again. You know, I think that's the reason why I picked the senior center too, because it broke my heart that a lot of people could not even see their grandparents. I know my nephews could not see their grandmother, my mother, during the last year. And that saddened me. So it had a lot to do with why I chose the senior center as a location. You know, the pandemic had a lot to do with why I wanted to laugh more and to forget my troubles, to write a comedy. And that's what I want audiences to take away. I just want them to laugh. I've had a chance to preview most of the plays, and I love them all. So Pepper Chambers wrote an amazing play. Wyatt wrote an amazing play. I haven't heard or read Paula's play yet. She's a good friend. She and I, she teaches at USC. She's a theater professor there, and I sometimes teach there also. And so her work is always amazing, and I'm looking forward to that. Sean Abley, I know I haven't read that yet, but I'm looking forward to that. It's his play is set in a community where most people, are gay, and I'm looking forward to hearing his play. So I'm looking forward to all the plays. Is this a trick question? Yes, but honestly, I am looking forward to all the other plays. Some of them, as I said, I've had a chance to preview as on the page, and they were terrific. And that's when I learned that, it's very interesting that we all have touchstones with each other in the play. You know, my play is about taking space. Who can take space? Who can sit at the table? But most of all, it's all about having some fun and thinking about the time when we'll all be able to get together and play cutthroat bingo. People should listen to the zip code plays because they're fun. So that's the most important thing. They're fun. They're really fun. Many of them are lighthearted, like Bingo Bitches. It's comedy. And also, to tell you the truth, because all of us playwrights, we're very diverse. We come from different backgrounds. We have different ways of telling a story, and we have different perspectives that may be interesting to an audience, may be challenging for an audience, may bring an audience something that they've never known before about the place where they live, or places that they visit, or places that they just zip past through on the freeway and never give a thought about. And it's a chance to really, enjoy the city that we live in. I mean, Los Angeles is a remarkable city. It's like nestled in the arms of the San Gabriel Mountains. And it's an opportunity to really, enjoy the love song that is the zip code plays. I mean, it's a love fest. And who doesn't like a love fest? So, yeah. That's the reason why you should listen. It's fun. So I'm looking forward to working on the play in a different medium. But this is a play that I'm happy the way it is. It's perfect for what Antaeus asked for. I don't expect Antaeus, I love that Antaeus supported me as a playwright, and I love how Antaeus supports the play, and I love the fact that they came up with the idea of the zip code plays and commissioned playwrights so that we could continue to work and continue to offer stories to audiences even during the pandemic, which really was devastating for my industry, for my profession. Even now the theater has not quite come back, I think Broadway has announced that it will be coming back in September, and you can start buying tickets then. And the reason is because we're not sure that people will want to sit in the dark, shoulder to shoulder in the theater, watching a play, considering what we've all been through the past year and a half. I mean, the pandemic, COVID, has really, given us all post-traumatic stress. And so I think it's just, I'm looking forward to theater opening back up. I'm looking forward to the theater goers coming back to the theater, audiences hearing our stories. But I don't know yet what the future holds for Bingo Bitches. I hope a good one. I'll be working on it. There are a lot of diverse playwrights out there, playwrights of color, who feel unseen. While we are very known within our community, it's been only recently where our work is getting some traction in other theaters beyond, Black History Month or Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I mean, oftentimes theaters will attend to those things, but I think now is a time of reckoning, a time of racial reckoning in which people are recognizing in all strata of industry, including education and including business and including theater, and that playwrights of color are starting to also take up the mantle of creating their work, presenting their own work. Social media has provided an outlet, and now we know that it's viable as a way of presenting work. But I think it is important that people, audiences, get exposed to stories that belong to them. The stories that I write, they're Asian American. I'm Asian. I'm an American of Asian ancestry, Chinese ancestry in this case. That's my heritage, but your heritage also is my heritage, because I'm American too. So when I write a story, it's a story that's also meant for you. It's about people that you may meet in a restaurant or in walking down the street or working alongside in the workplace. I mean, that's why stories are so important, is that we are able to, share amongst ourselves in a theater space, who we are, what our humanity, how deep our humanity runs. It's really, a lot of the things that are happening in the world today, especially with the anti-Asian hate, the thing is that people forget that we're human, and we're not just a stereotype. We're not someone to blame. So consequently, I feel that the stories that we have to share help humanize us, help us to be seen, help us to engage with a broader community, to help that broader community understand that the stories I'm telling are their stories too, and it's their popular culture heritage as well as my own. So I'm hoping that that's why I continue to tell the story. And oftentimes I'm now branching out. I write stories that I am interested in that have nothing to do with my Asian heritage, although I always try to sneak it in. For instance, in Code of Conduct, it's a play about a heavy metal musician who is lost and joins the army. He gets deployed to Guantanamo, and the play is about his relationship with all of the detainees there. One of whom is, from the Uyghur, Chinese Uyghur community. And so I was able to, even though I'm talking about the Islam and the Middle Eastern community, I'm also sneaking in an aspect from the Chinese culture through the Uyghur experience of being, thought a terrorist against the United States and being deposited in Guantanamo. And so that's a character in the play that is my way of talking about my Asian culture. But, I'm writing about Guantanamo and the detainees and the experience there. So, writers of color want to be able to write whatever they feel passionate about writing about, and end of story. And hopefully it's cockeyed and interesting enough and compelling enough to garner a wider audience. The Playwrighting Lab, it's, fantastic because it's a playground for playwrights to experiment, to write what they need to write without judgment. The lab has been a beautiful experience for me, because I know that I'm with colleagues, fellow playwrights, actors who are incredible, who have a home and have a place that they feel is safe, and it's loving, and who doesn't want a place that's safe and loving? So Antaeus provides that for the artistic community, and what makes it great for audiences is that they're going to be in the listening to and experiencing the work of these writers who are in the lab, who go out from the lab and get productions not only in Los Angeles but in other parts of the country. These Los Angeles playwrights go forth, and they go forth and be brilliant in other places and reach out about whatever they're writing about to a broader audience, not only in Los Angeles, but here worldwide even. So it's a benefit to the Los Angeles community because these artists are spreading their stories, their perspectives. And we live here. We belong here. And Antaeus is our home. So you can be proud of us. So there are not a lot of theaters that can afford to support playwrights in the way that Antaeus does. I mean, they are a very rare animal because, like I said, I used to be a part of the, center theater group at the Music Center. They had a workshop there, but since that time, when they lost their funding or did they stopped doing the workshop, there hasn't really been a theater that has offered playwrights a home, a place to consistently go to work out their new plays, to do their experiments, to actually meet the actors. It's a great resource for playwrights to meet great actors. We meet great actors and then we want to work with them because they've come to the lab and read for not me, but for other playwrights. And then I always take a mental note. Oh, so that was a really great actor. One of these days I'll be able to, have a chance to work with them. So this is very unique. It's very rare to have this, and especially in a city of this size, you'd think it would be more theaters would do that. But Antaeus actually, it's ongoing, it's regular, they've been doing it a long time. Being kind of a breeding ground for playwrights and creating relationships between playwrights and actors. And that's the most unusual part about it. The relationships that you build, the casting that you do in your mind, meeting these actors at Antaeus who are so fabulous. Antaeus needs to be supported because theater is hard work. It takes a lot of money at the level that Antaeus does its theater work. So support is greatly appreciated, not only in terms of finances, but just butts in the seats. That's the most important thing, is having people come to the theater to engage with the work, to be, to laugh, to cry, to question, to be uplifted, to be transported, to feel the magic. And that's why Antaeus is so important to this community and to the artistic community, and it deserves your support. So why not? Do it. Write a check. Come to the theater when it opens and sit in the seats and just watch and be delighted. And it's worth it. I mean, this is reason why we are all going to work, so that we can, go to concerts, go to movies, and go experience the communal experience that is the theater. So Antaeus is an important part of that in Los Angeles. And, get your butts in the seat and write a check. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Wong. I'm a playwright based in Los Angeles. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, please go to the Antaeus website and check out the Zip Code plays, my play, of course. And also, there are other productions. Thanks for listening.